that's where I am, folks. And we're gonna go right there, ultimately. That's where we're gonna end up. Gold Museum. Visit some historical places here in the Georgia mountains. Diving bell, whatever that is. And this must be, there's a Holiday Inn Express right downtown. I'm looking for the, oh, there it is, right in the middle of town. I just gotta figure out where you're gonna park here. Okay, this is a little bit different. Alright, County Courthouse, Gold Museum, and where do you park? Amazing how much you can do in a day if you get up and you get started. But now I'm in historical DAHLONEGA. Is that the way you pronounce it? Look at the gold on top of that. Do you see that? Way over there. I gotta get that. I gotta get tuned in. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Right there. Right there. Look at that. Okay. This is it, and I'm going to go to this museum. This beautiful country up here. And this is the museum of gold mining, it said. Right here, gold in the hills, prospecting. And we're gonna go in here, because this is the museum, right here in the town square. Adults, oh, senior citizens, I get a 50 cent freaking discount. So let's go in here. Right here it is. Right in the center of this. Okay, I'm in the Gold Museum, and I have this theater where you can tell that I've got my entire cult family with me. So I'll do a pan around here because I'm all alone. And it's going to start in 30 seconds. The first time I've been in a theater in a long time, all by myself. Stay tuned. Here goes. Shh. Oh, God, I forgot my popcorn. Okay.
It all began on a cool fall day in the mountains of North Georgia, or so the story goes. It was 1828, and young Benjamin Parks was walking quietly through the woods, looking for deer. As he wandered, his foot struck an unusual-looking rock, one whose deep yellow color made it stand out on the forest floor. This, it's been said, was the first discovery of gold in Georgia. And this story, though, while widely known and often repeated, is only one of many popular legends about the start of Georgia's gold rush. And while Benjamin Parks may not have been the first to find gold here, he was far from the last. He later recalled,
"Well, sir, the news got abroad, and such excitement you never saw. It seemed within a few days as if the whole world must have heard of it, for men came from every state I'd ever heard of. They came afoot, on horseback, and in wagons, and is acting more like crazy men than anything else."
The prospect of quick and easy fortunes attracted thousands of people from around the world. In short order, the mountains of northeast Georgia were filled with miners hoping to strike it rich. Although gold had been found in other parts of the country much earlier, never before had so many people come together so quickly to search so frantically for the precious yellow metal. By 1829, the first major gold rush in the United States was in full swing. In Georgia, the gold belt stretches for about 150 miles, from the farthest northeast corner of the mountains across the state to Alabama. The richest and most productive portion of it lies around DAHLONEGA, in the watershed between the Chestatee and the Etowah rivers. In the early days, gold literally lay on top of the ground. Although big nuggets were few and far between, gold filled the streams and stream beds throughout the area, and many miners made their living with nothing more than a shovel and a gold pan. But the desire for gold led inevitably to a fierce competition for land. In 1830, the state of Georgia claimed as its own what long had been Cherokee territory. Spurred by the promise of untold fortunes, Georgia began exercising a claim that went back nearly 100 years, to the time of its colonial charter. By 1832, the state was surveying the stolen Cherokee lands, dividing them into lots, and distributing them through a lottery system. 133,000 qualified citizens, but no native Cherokees, were allowed to register for a chance to win one of 35,000 gold lots. As thousands of miners poured into North Georgia, they began pushing out the Indians who had lived here for generations. In 1838, in one of the most tragic events of gold mining history, the United States government sent troops to round up the Cherokees. They were forced west across the Mississippi River. This devastating march, known as the Trail of Tears, left thousands dead from cold and starvation. But it did nothing to slow the rush for gold. In the early 1800s, whole towns seemed to spring up almost overnight. One of the first to be established was Auraria, a community named for the Latin word for gold. Auraria's growth, according to one of its residents, was unprecedented in any backcountry village in the southern states. Before the town was a year old, it had 100 homes, 18 or 20 stores, 12 or 15 law offices, and 4 or 5 taverns. Its heyday was short-lived, though. By 1833, Auraria was eclipsed by the nearby town of DAHLONEGA. DAHLONEGA became the county seat, and all of the area's mining activity was centered here. Within only a few months, nearly 6,000 people had come to live in and around the town. By all accounts, this was a rowdy place. Not quite as rough as the mining towns that would later spring up in California, but lively nonetheless. Gambling houses, dancing houses, drinking saloons, billiard saloons, and 10-pin alleys were open day and night. Gold fever had the miners in its grip. When they made a strike, they could be well paid in a day's time. But more often than not, their search ended in disappointment. As Benjamin Parks put it, it's just like gambling, all luck. The quality of Georgia's gold was legendary, even in the 1830s. Said to be some of the world's finest, its purity averaged around 98%, higher than that of the gold later found in California and Alaska. Miners roamed the valleys and hollows of North Georgia looking for a promising spot, one that showed good color. Many of them used only a gold pan to work the deposits that washed into the streams. Others began digging underground, following veins of gold deep into the sides of the mountains. The gold was brought to DAHLONEGA and sent to places like Philadelphia, where it could be made into coins. By 1838, so much gold was being mined in the region that the federal government established a branch of the United States Mint in DAHLONEGA. From the time it opened its doors until the Civil War shut it down, the mint produced more than $6 million in gold coins. And this was only a fraction of what was being mined in the area. It didn't take long to find all the easy gold, though. And in 1848, when gold was discovered in California, many of the miners rushed west, hoping for yet another chance to strike it rich. For those who remained in Georgia, the work of finding gold kept getting harder until hydraulic mining came along. Water cannons, called hydraulic giants, literally washed away the sides of the mountains.
They great big things up on legs like that, and they could turn it. It had big, what you call it, nozzle out on it. And by the time it come down there, it really had the force. Oh, I've seen trees bigger than any you can see around here. They just lay them over in a few minutes. Just tear down the mountain in no time.
Hydraulic mining exposed veins of gold that otherwise would have remained buried for years. This new method allowed a few miners to move tons of earth in a single day. It also cut huge gashes through the hills and left deep canyons that scarred the countryside. After they washed the mountains down, the miners had to separate the gold from the quartz and other rocks that contained it. They did this by pulverizing the ore with heavy crushers or stamps.
And I can remember when there was at least 5 stamp mills that you could hear overnight from where we lived. You could hear all 5 of them running. Now, they didn't run just overnight, they run day and night.
As gold became harder and harder to find, the scale of mining operations began to grow. Companies were set up and elaborate tunnels were blasted out of the mountains.
The dynamite was the worst things. Now, you didn't fool going back right in behind the blast, because they had to blast them rocks a lot of times, and so you go back and all that smoke and everything, and it'd give you the dynamite headache. And mister, you ain't never had the headache till you get the dynamite headache.
More than 250 gold mines filled the hills and valleys of North Georgia.
There was a lot of good gold mines around here. There was a Calhoun gold mine, there was a Consolidated, Crown Mountain, Finley, the Bass, and the Lockhart, and the Boulder Fields, and the Free Gym, and the Edgewater River, and King Creek, and Yehuler, and the Loud Gold Mine, Battle Branch, and I can't remember half of them now, but there was a bunch of the gold mines that they worked.
By far the biggest mine in the area was the Consolidated Gold Mine of DAHLONEGA. Chartered in 1900 and out of business by 1906, the Consolidated was a legend, even in its own time. Investors from around the country put together $5 million to build the huge mining complex. It was the largest gold plant ever established east of the Mississippi River, and it represented big dreams that were never fully realized. Poor planning and management shut the mine down in only a few years, but with its 120 stamp mill and 500-foot tunnel, it employed many miners during its short life.
See, this big one right here was the mill. There was 120 stamps in there. And this here was where they roasted ore. There's 8 furnaces in there. And there was a pipe went from that to the smokestack. And that's the way the thing looked. I remember it looking like that before they tore it out. That building was 300 feet long.
After the Consolidated closed, mining continued in DAHLONEGA, but on a lesser scale. Miners worked deposits scattered throughout the area or ran small stamp mills. Some of them worked on dredge boats in the Chestatee and Etowah rivers. The Depression came and went, and mining suffered along with many other businesses. It wasn't until the late 1930s that another gold mining legend came onto the scene in Dahlonega. Major Graham Dugas reopened the old Calhoun mine, and when he did, he struck one of the richest veins the mine had ever produced. Major Dugas was a first-rate mining engineer, and he made a fortune in Dahlonega. But he was a promoter as well, one who plated the dashboard of his car with gold and persuaded investors to sink their money into a mine that had already played out.
They said he went up north and he had all the dashboard of his car, plated with gold and everything. Of course, he pulled somebody's leg, I guess, for some money after he'd done work today. I don't know what he done, but that's what they said he done.
I don't know whatever went with the car, but now there was a lot of young girls that wanted to ride in that car.
Mining on various scales continued around Dahlonega until World War II. Then the men went off to fight, and the equipment needed to run the mines was sold for scrap. The war marked the end of gold mining as big business in the Georgia mountains. With no more fortunes to be made, most miners found easier ways to make a living. But for some, gold never lost its appeal, and they never lost their appreciation for its special beauty.
Georgia gold is some of the purest gold in the natural state you're going to find anywhere. I've had assays on some of this right here, just as it came out, and it's one that was at 98.46 pure. And no alloy, but it's very little alloy. In some parts of the world, your alloy was silver, copper, and so forth, and if it's 75% pure, you're in good shape. I mean, that's good for them. But some of this up here is pure. That's the reason why Georgia gold is so pretty. There's no other gold more like it.
In 1828, when word went out that gold had been discovered, miners rushed to the mountains of North Georgia. Day after day and year after year, it was the dream of that next big strike that kept them going. Today, Dahlonega is experiencing a new gold rush of sorts as tourists flock to the area. Around the public square, many historic buildings still reflect the importance.
So I'm going to watch a film. Here we go. I hear something. Right, he could have covered a big area.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Just a step or two in.
Okay.
And look at this wall over here on my left.
That is the original.
You might see little shiny specks here and there in the brick.
Yeah, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There's a couple of pieces right there, yeah. And there's all kinds of sparkly.
As an amateur panner myself, a lot of this may be the tourist ooh-ah factor, but they did in fact have bricks removed and assayed, and there is gold in these bricks.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the ooh-ah moment.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, how long did this serve as the courthouse? Fascinating. So that's preserved in
active
that
courthouse till about 1965.
And these are the original flooring.
If you would, please.
Oh.
We have an opening to get some cabinets moved around.
Okay, so you don't want me to step in, that's what you're saying. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So this is original furniture to the courthouse?
I'm not sure of
sure?
that.
Uh-huh.
It's of the Garnet mine put in a hydroelectric generator on the Chestatee, which enabled them to bring in a 40 horsepower, 30-foot throw Belgian pump.
So is this what they washed the mountains down with?
This the nozzle end was on that side, and they'd wash the mountainside.
It's basically a water cannon.
It's a big hose. It's
Yep. Yep.
And I said in the early days, this was gravity
Yep.
fed.
And it did the job. Okay.
Basically a still. It's called a retort. But they'd scrape all the amalgam, the mercury and the gold from the hammer mill, put that in the crucible, attach it to the retort, and heat it. The mercury would vaporize off, and they'd recover live mercury on that side, and their gold would be on this
So
side.
they could separate it and get the value of both.
But they still have to bathe that in things like hydrochloric, hydrofluoric, cyanotic, sulfuric acids to clean the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Then the assayer would take it and remelt it and add things like bone ash, borax, and straw, and that would further raise the contaminants, the silvers, the coppers, the leads. Mr. Croissant said that our gold is 98.46 pure.
Yeah, I
and
heard
none
that.
other like it in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Since 1985, they've analyzed South African gold. And the contaminants, the silvers, the leads, the coppers can be separated and weighed and measured. They're not directly related, but they're close enough to be cousins.
I got you.
When the continents shifted, they took theirs and we kept ours.
Right. I'm
It's real. Real.
So you bet.
It is not fake. It's the real deal. And here's the other side of it.
Gold mining pieces are 160-acre farmland pieces. Widowed women were eligible to enter the drawing. Veterans received 2 draws. And virtually any Anglo from anywhere in the world could have put in for some 35,000 lots if they were available.
2,950.
29.50. So you have a lot of these, or these?
Those are it.
And you're trying to sell them.
We get them in. People, we have collectors come in. They come looking for certain dates.
So how do you come up with your price on this?
We have a book that tells us the value, and then I'm not really sure. We have a coin guy that does this.
Oh, I understand.
But this one, we come up the same way. But when they had it graded, that they told on it, there were so few still in circulation that they couldn't even put a price on it. It was so valuable.
Okay, so this is the one that's got a bad stamp on it.
No, this one.
Oh, I got the wrong one again. I'm going to look at that again. Okay, it's a smaller one. And that's the 20,000. And that stamp is right along that edge right there. It's
Joel May can tell you more about it.
yeah. Well, I can see it now that I hold it at the right angle with the light. It's right there. And so that's what made the value of that so much. Without that, what would the value of that coin be?
Is it just that, or is it a low mintage also that year?
It's a rare coin. It's also a high grade. It would be 14 or 15 without the.
So that stamp is increased it by a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. That's interesting. So you get these because people have collected them and come in and they want to sell them to you guys? Is the way you
and
are
there's
with them?
always people putting collections together too. So.
Do you advertise your stuff on the internet any, or just?
We're working on where we can put these on our website right now. So we do advertise it on Facebook and stuff too.
Yeah, so I told her that's $200 more than I paid for my first house in 1974. But I can't live in that.
No.
And then you got to find a buyer for that. There's not a big a market for that as there is my house.
Yeah, this is a special market for this one.
Yeah.
But that's why we have the lesser ones too.
Well, and then these were all minted locally, so that's harder to find yet, I assume.
Yeah, and it's all pre-Civil War, so anything before the Civil War is pretty rare.
And this is the least expensive coin you got, is the one that's not graded. And you come up, because you get them graded, and then you go buy books that they're put out and whatnot. And
It's a market price like everything.
So do you take offers on it? Somebody walks in and says, hey, I'll give you X number of dollars for this, or are you stuck on your price?
No, they're a little negotiable.
Okay. So it's not your coins.
They're on consignment.
Yeah. I got you. Fascinating. Well, I don't want to be responsible for those.
No, man, you need your few of those. But this is from Philadelphia, 1884.
And they're still minting coins in Philadelphia, aren't they?
Yeah, they're the modern stuff.
Yeah.
But this is from 1884. That's only about $600.
Oh, really?
And that's more going for what it's worth in its weight in gold. But they're much more common.
That's now. What did you just say? Worth more?
It's worth like its gold value instead of being like collectible.
The
value.
numismatic value is less than the gold value in this, and it's 100% gold, or
It's 90%. So it's about a quarter of an ounce of pure gold. It's just under a quarter of an ounce.
And are these brought into y'all to buy, or do
Yeah,
people
we buy
getting
from individuals.
individuals? Yeah. So that one's only $600. That's only $600 for that one.
Yeah.
Is it? Are you going by the weight on that then when you price that out?
Mostly, it still has a little bit of numismatic value, but it's mostly gold weight.
Then you got a couple of gold bars there, small bars.
Yeah. These are grams. These are 1 ounce gold.
And what do you get for a gram?
They're 99.
Since my last name is Graham.
There you go. They're $99. We have these. These are also grams. These are little ones that you can break up. They're 95 a piece.
I mean, darn. If you're a real generous soul, I'm just not that generous. Give them to your friends. What friends?
You'd be very generous giving those away.
Yeah. And then you got silver.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And then you got jewelry. Now, just wondering.
Got jewelry made out of it?
Through, and they gave me this thing where I can get chocolate. Kind of a passport for chocolate stuff. The Chocolate Crawl. And this is the Irish pub, so where is it on the map? Oh, there it is, right there. Kind of get my bearings as to where I am in this town. Right here. That's where I'm coming to. It's your lucky day. Shenanigans. Still walking around the square before I go to the next place I want to go. Giggle Monkey Toys. Alright. 2 minutes, so many toys, so little time. Yeah, we gotta check out these toys, huh? Alright.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Very well. Thank you.
Had to come look at a toy store.
There's few and far between on them.
Not many left. Toys R Us went out of business, and your toys look fascinating.
We like to think we're a little more quaint and welcoming than Toys R Us was.
I think you're not. You don't have that big box feel. How's that?
Yeah. We're lucky to be in a historic building. That helps.
Yes. Original flooring too, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
And windows.
And how long have you been here?
Store's been here a little over 11 years.
So what do we have going around? Is this a Ferris wheel type apparatus here?
Made out of Connects.
I don't even know what a Connects is. Oh, okay, like the Lego thing.
Yeah. So each of those, see there, all those different pieces.
Yeah, wow. So did you build that?
With some help.
That was a major project, wasn't it?
I spent 5.5 hours on it.
Wow.
And I was actually reconstructing it. I had disassembled it. We had it at a different store, and we took it down and brought it here. And I had disassembled it there, but left some components together, so those didn't have to be reassembled.
I got
piece
you.
by piece.
So the little swinging basket things there.
All of those I left intact.
I started to say that'd probably be one of them, yeah. And you got some kind of electric motor in the middle there to make it go round and round.
It's actually in the base in the back, and it's almost like a tire that drives it. It's a rubber ring on it.
Okay.
And as it turns, it turns it by friction.
Right. So it's driven from down at the bottom instead of the center. Okay.
Yeah, it's not a direct drive.
Right. Next stop, right here, Consolidated Gold Mines. I'm going to take the tour. So, let's go.
Now, I'm going to give you a little history before we go down. Everyone's piled in the corner nice and safe. Spread out a little bit. All right, everyone can kind of see? All right, so back in 1828, a fellow named Benjamin Parks on a hunting trip just a few miles from here. He's walking by the river and kicks up a rock. Kind of interesting. So he takes it home, uses it for a doorstop and a paperweight, finally gets it checked out in town. Guess what it was?
Gold.
Gold, that's right. Benjamin made a big mistake. Started bragging about it. Friends, when you find gold, you don't tell anyone. Word travels quickly. 15,000 prospectors poured into this area at one time. Drastically changed everything. Are you guys familiar with the Trail of Tears?
Yeah.
This was Cherokee Indian land. The Trail of Tears, DAHLONEGA in Cherokee is DAHLONEGA, which means yellow. The Cherokee knew the gold was here and no value to them. Settlers come, they want the gold. They encroach on the Cherokee land. Eventually the Cherokee government goes to the U.S. government and says, hey, can you stop this invasion? Andrew Jackson, president at that time, not a fan of indigenous people, sends troops down. They can't stop it. They can't contain it. So they decide, we should just take these people off their land and make them walk from here to Oklahoma, where a third of them perished on the way. So that's the dark history of the gold. Now, the method that they used to look for gold originally, have all of you guys done your panning yet?
Yeah.
Some of you have not. You have not yet. You guys will do that after the tour. They took pans, they scooped up sand from the river, worked it back and forth, and we find large gold nuggets. Over time, more people coming, the gold gets harder to find. So 1849, they have the big California gold rush. Most of the miners here head to the West Coast hoping to strike it rich. You've heard the phrase, there's gold in them there hills? That comes from DAHLONEGA. The city officials were trying to discourage the miners from leaving and taking their money with them. So anyway, a few decades later, businessmen in the area noticed the new mining techniques being developed on the West Coast. They said, let's bring that back to DAHLONEGA, give it another try. They did in 1898, and that method is called hard rock mining, and I'm going to explain that as we go down. So guys, get real quiet for a second. Do you hear that water down there? Is everyone a good swimmer?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We'll take the long tour then. Let's go.
We're all
Well, you came today, I'll say what we got. All right. Can you guys hear me in the back okay?
Yes.
So I see you're filming and some people are taking pictures. I need to talk to you about that. If you're going to take pictures or film, this is my good side. Go right ahead. Anyway, hard rock mining. So most of the rock in here is granite. It's one of the hardest rocks known in the world. Of course, they're hoping to find veins of gold. Primarily, though, they are looking for veins of quartz rock. In the quartz rock, you find tiny little particles of gold, about the size of baking flour. They called it flour gold. To get that out of the rock, they take that quartz to the stamp mill. So imagine a big water wheel turning at the river, powers these big piston-like hammers that go up and down. These things weigh 900 pounds each. There's 120 of them in one building. This was a very big operation. So they take that rock, crush it up into powder. Then they use some pretty safe chemicals like arsenic and mercury to separate that flour gold from that powdered quartz. The big hole behind it had one of the largest veins of quartz ever recorded. By the time they got it out, crushed it up, it yielded about 54 pounds of that flour, that powdered gold. So guys, gold's heavy. That's a bag of dust this big, dust that was spread out all through the quartz rock. You say, why the effort to collect that? Today's prices, that's about $1,800,000. They got motivated. They said, we'll go deeper, we'll find more. They did, but they never got as much as they did in this spot. That compounded with some other reasons, like there were 2 years of drought. The river went down, the wheel can't turn, the machinery freezes up. Also, bad management. They were fudging numbers to the home office. All those reasons combined, 1906, they filed for bankruptcy, shut this place down, only open for 8 years. All right, now as we go down, the stairs can be slippery. Use the rails. Tall people, this rock, tall people, it likes heads. Watch out. I'm sure it is, and I do not know the scientific name for it.
Okay.
But yeah, there are so many varieties of quartz. And if you do any of the gemstone mining up there, you'll see different mines.
Oh, okay.
All right, my friends, now look right over there. You guys see that white rock on the wall? Yeah. That's the quartz that they were looking for.
Okay.
Not sure why that got left behind. Maybe structural reasons, or the geologist said not worth going deeper. I don't know. But in theory, we could take that rock out, crush it up, get those little particles of gold out. So yes, there's still gold in this mine. They can work it. It's just incredibly expensive to get it out of here. I gotta say, they make a whole lot more money charging you guys to come in and see this.
Right.
Oh yeah. Now this is our famous rock here. This is called the wishing rock. The reason we call it the wishing rock is if you're walking by it, tap that head, you wish you had. Now the jokes get worse. Sorry. It's all downhill. That's right.
It looks like the same pattern as before. I suppose it is.
I'm gonna wash my hands before we do that, and there's gonna be gold in this.
All right, guys, look over here. That right there, my friends, is pretty amazing. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest underground waterfall east of DAHLONEGA. All right, to get this rock out of here, they had to blast it out with dynamite. To use this dynamite, they had to make all of these holes in the wall to slide the dynamite into. To make those holes, these are the tools they used, a hand steel, and they would have used a much larger sledgehammer.
Every time I slice it, you can get a silver or a coin, just like this, okay?
All right, here we go. You trust me? Okay, anyway, put your body up and take this again. All right, here we go. Step back over this. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. All right, so this would go on all day long for about 12 hours. It takes an hour to go 1 foot in the hole.
Thank you.
All right, guys, look over here. That right there, my friends, is pretty amazing. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest underground waterfall east of the Delhonega. All right, get this rock out of here. They have to blast it out with dynamite. To use this dynamite, they can make all of these holes in the wall. So the technology was advancing rapidly, kind of like technology today. This drifter's drill is meant to go horizontal. Not as heavy as that first drill we saw, but the big technological advancement, this drill bit is hollow. You can pump water through it. You remember the silicon dust bad for your lungs, that water shoots through, washes the dust away so you don't have to breathe it in. That's a big deal. What's amazing about this drill is over 125 years old, still works. Only 2 in the country that still work. I'm going to turn it on for you. Hopefully it'll be a little loud. So in a moment I'll have you cover your ears. I'll run it for 5 seconds. But now when I turn it off, just stay quiet, quickly uncover. Take a moment, just listen to hear the silence. It's pretty cool. So if you want to take her over there, yeah, and then you can cover her ears that way the bottom of yours bad. All right, so you go, hey, where'd my hair go? All right. All right, you guys are ready? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Now, we run this at about 30% capacity. The miners would have had it at 100. And it's not slamming against that rock. You can imagine how loud that would be. There could be 15 of these going full blast down here at one time. What do you think that would do to you?
Did they have ear protection?
What?
Did they have?
They did not. My understanding is, I'll get to that in a second. In 3 months, you would be deaf down here. The man said, we'll swap out every 2 weeks, give our ears a break, maybe 6 months. You're going to lose your hearing. My understanding is a year after the mine closed, they invented hearing protection. So they just missed out. Yeah. But hey, it's not all bad news. You made $1.75. There you go. Now, you're welcome to come up and take pictures. Just don't touch it or turn it on. I'll know. And we'll go back. But I'm going to tell you, we're excited. Here in a few weeks, we think they're real close. They're going to open this up to the public. It goes back a ways. It splits into 2 shafts. One of the shafts goes to an old elevator shaft. So the guys here repelled into that thing. They took a bucket on a hoist, putting rock, debris out a good ways down. Still has the original timbers on the walls. They think they're almost to a mine shaft. 40 feet of water fills up. They pump it out, it fills up again. So we don't know if there's one mine shaft below us or a whole series of them. We have no idea. Have you guys been into our historic town of DAHLONEga business? If you haven't, it's less than have a seat on there. So above us here, this is called a stove shaft because it goes vertical. Could not have happened until the turn of the century when they invented this bad boy, the stove shaft drill. This is like a big jackhammer. This thing weighs 150 pounds. So 2 men would hold this, work against the rock,
build scaffolding, come on out, work against the rock, build scaffolding over and over again. It's a lot faster than Minor Carroll's hammer and hand steel. Paid a lot more money too, $1.25 paid. But there was a big problem with this drill. It made a lot of dust. And that dust is a little particle known as silica. It's like glass. As you breathe it in over time, it scars and touch your lungs. You end up getting silicosis from it. So yeah, you made more money, you bought your house and then you died. Yes. Now, if the miners had waited about 150 years in the future, gone 150 feet higher, it would have been one of the largest still active gold mines just above your heads. You've probably been in there. Walmart Supercenter is up there. Some of the purest water is said to be down in this mine because it's filtered through the granite. You see the blue hose up there? There's water all on this rock. That water is said to be infused or have gold mixed in it. That's a unique texture. If you would like, don't step in the water, but you can come up here, get some of that on your hands. So that it feels like. Hey, Pepper, I lied. That water is coming from the men's bathroom at Walmart. He's like, is he telling the truth or lying? We got twisted. 3 weeks ago, it happened. Very tall lady stood up there. Her hair was in a bun. She jumped. She screamed. I hear her hair was tickling the bat. That lady was out of here. She was done. All right, now you see all the holes in the rock? Do you remember what the holes are for? Yes, dynamite. Difficult stuff to work with. You have to take a stick at a time, slide it in that hole with a very high-tech, precision piece of equipment. A broom pole. All right, miners, with 2 hands. I want you to slowly slide that dynamite in. Don't blow us up. Slower than that. So the dynamite was very volatile. It would sweat nitroglycerin as a byproduct. You could drop this stuff. It would detonate. So with each stick, boom! You're fired. Go on to six. This is why I love my job. Right? All right, now we're lucky. We have these awesome LED lights. Of course, they didn't have that. And they cannot use oil or kerosene lamps in here because of the fumes. It would fill this shaft up. You would not be able to breathe. This is what they had. All the miners were issued candles. So the beginning of each shift, each miner got 3 candles from their supervisor. It was to your advantage to work with someone to extend your lighting down here. Now I'm going to do something fun. Sir, if you don't mind, if you'll hide yourself on for a moment. I'm going to keep it down and equalize the pressure of your ears. If you didn't, the concussion from the blast when you go over in here, blow out your eardrums. There was no motion right now.
To eat, of course. I don't know what he eats, but he eats good.
He's on, that's where he lives. He's in and out. Good job. All right, now, the water is an issue in here. There are rivers, creeks, springs above us. That water is going to work its way in and collect. Cover it now, I'll show you how to get out there. Listen, pace yourself, you have a long shift ahead of you, okay? All right, now, Minor Pepper here is using the old-fashioned hammer to pump the water out. Minor Pepper, how old are you? You could have actually started this at the age of 9. There were no child labor laws back then. So you'll do this every day for 25 cents a day, not as much as Minor Carroll got paid, but it was considered a safer job if you didn't pump the water out. just like the mine shaft down there. Not overnight, but over time, that water level would start to rise in here. So they put a submersible drone in that water. They went under that shaft about 90 feet. They came up on a collapsed wall. We don't know on the other side of that wall how far it goes or if it splits in the other shafts. You guys see the light in the water down here? That lamp, it looks like it's just at the surface, is about 8 feet underwater.
There's water down there?
Yes. You see the vegetation going down? It's going down into the water. Yeah, it's an optical illusion. There's a little water. Yeah. So see where the vegetation is, the lines coming out? So that water starts at that level and comes flat across. Comes all the way up to that water.
So like down there, they've done
Oh, it goes like this. And they went 90 feet with that drawing. And we don't know how far it does because of the rock wall. It's a lot of water. It's constantly filling in. Also, bad management that were fudging numbers to the home office. All those reasons combined, in 1906, they filed for bankruptcy, shut this place down, only open for 8 years. All right, now as we go down, the stairs can be slippery. Use the